out that a lot of Muslims voted for Donald Trump. Like, are you serious? Oof! Like, you guys are forgetting that you guys are on the travel ban. Like, you guys are playing pick me, pick me, pick me. You guys are on a travel ban. Like, your country cannot come in. Like, are you serious? Oof!
Greetings everybody and welcome back to my channel. You won't believe what's happening now. Some Arab Americans who proudly voted for Trump are starting to regret that decision big time. They thought he would bring peace to Gaza, but instead, things have only gotten worse. And some are even facing deportation under the same system they supported. Let's talk about it.
We as Muslims stand with President Trump because he promises peace. He promises peace, not war. We are supporting Donald Trump because he promised to end war in the Middle East and Ukraine. The bloodshed has to stop all over the world, and I think this man can make that happen.
Donald Trump is playing our communities, is playing American voters, is playing the Arab and Muslim community. And it is failed democratic leadership that is allowing him to do that. I mean, the folks who voted for Trump are not theoretical to me. The folks who voted for Trump are my cousins, my friends, people who were tasked with a very difficult task of carrying a lot of grief and trying to do a politically savvy thing at the same time.
Well, no surprise that Dearborn Heights, and city of Hamtramck voted all for President Trump. I think that they were a clear indication that this community was truly upset, angry at the Biden-Harris administration.
This is a question to the Arab voters who went against Kamala Harris, either voted third party or Trump, because of Palestine and Gaza. How exactly are you feeling right now with the ceasefire officially broken? Not only did Trump say that he would go in there and develop the territory for himself and his interests, now fighting has resumed and Palestine is suffering again. So what was it all for? What was your protest vote against Kamala Harris for? You literally just killed an entire group of people at this point because of pettiness. From what I understand, Palestinians were begging you to vote for Kamala Harris and not Donald Trump or third party, and you just completely ignored them. So this falls on you. Everything that you guys supported, it comes back to you. If anything bad that happens to Gaza at this point, Arab Americans who voted for Trump or against Kamala, it's your fault. No apologies.
Arab American communities are being heavily targeted by ICE right now. Multiple sources are saying that ICE has increased its presence in cities like Dearborn and Dearborn Heights, cities known for having massive Lebanese and Yemeni populations, so you can imagine why they're being targeted. Multiple community members, including longtime business owners, fathers, and religious leaders, have been detained and placed into deportation proceedings within the last few weeks, with at least one confirmed case of a deportation back to Lebanon, which, mind you, is a war zone. And among the detained are people with legal issues going back decades, some as old as 30 years ago. Many of them being nonviolent offenses, mind you. They are looking for any and every reason to rip people out of their homes and take them away from their families. Now, while the pro-Israel motivations are certainly clear, you might not know this is also being used for the U.S. to turn a profit. A private for-profit prison group actually just obtained a contract with ICE to reopen a shuttered prison in Michigan specifically to hold these Arab American detainees. Now, this has obviously sparked massive concerns with civil rights advocates, but the group is more concerned with its $70 million in annual profit that it can make off of our detention. $70 million per year. This is a long-term, multi-year contract. They are planning to massively ramp up this inhumane detention and detainment. And they're going to increase their targeting of immigrants in the general population. So if you live in Michigan in the Dearborn Heights area, you need to be careful. no matter your immigration status. You need to be careful here and you need to be careful abroad, because many recent travelers have been denied re-entry to the U.S. simply for where they traveled to or for content that was on their phones. You can have your phone searched and seized by ICE even if you are a U.S. citizen. So for people in the Dearborn community who annually go back to Lebanon in the summers, you need to be careful. For people who are sending money overseas to a sick relative, you need to be careful. For people simply voicing a political opinion online about the situation overseas, you need to be careful. Dearborn and other Arab communities within the United States are massively at risk right now. You need to protect yourself.
At first, many believed Trump would stand up to the establishment and stop the bloodshed in Gaza. They saw Biden as weak and thought Trump would deliver justice.
So in this moment, we must be crystal clear. We stand with Israel. We stand with Israel. And we will make sure Israel has what it needs to take care of its citizens, defend itself, and respond to this attack. There's no justification for terrorism. There's no excuse. Hamas does not stand for the Palestinian people's right to dignity and self-determination. Its stated purpose is the annihilation of the state of Israel and the murder of Jewish people. They use Palestinian civilians as human shields. Hamas offers nothing but terror and bloodshed with no regard to who pays the price.
Now the reality is hitting hard, and it's not what they expected. And what's even more shocking, some of them are turning to Black Americans, asking for solidarity and support, hoping for help in a system that's not turning against them.
In the community are at a loss for words. Last night was a very rough night for most of us.
I've said it once and I'll say it again. You can and will be detained or deported as a legal U.S. resident for your political beliefs. And that is exactly what's happening to activist and legal resident Mahmoud Khalil, who is being held as a political prisoner in the U.S. Mahmoud is a student leader at Columbia University and is being directly targeted for his advocacy against Israel's genocide in Palestine. Mahmoud was detained illegally this past Saturday and was told that his student visa was revoked. Now, when he retorted that he is not on a student visa and is a legal green card holder, he was told his green card status was revoked as well. When asked for a warrant, the ICE agents hung up in his lawyer's face. Now, everything about this is illegal, and as such, a federal judge has actually chosen to block Mahmoud's deportation. But he has still been sent to an ICE detainment center in Louisiana for indefinite detainment. Now, you might be wondering, why is he in Louisiana? Why is he not in an ICE detention facility in New York? This is because ICE often goes judge shopping, hoping to put detainees in states with the highest rates of incarceration under hanging judges. And because of Donald Trump's reversal of catch and release migrant laws, Mahmoud will be indefinitely waiting in the detention center until his trial date. He is 100% a political prisoner, and according to Donald Trump, he could be the first of many. In fact, 60 different universities in the U.S. have been warned that they may face enforcement action if they fail to protect Jewish students on campus. Meaning if they fail to stop pro-Palestinian protests and quash any political dissent. This also includes the University of Michigan, a university that has a disproportionately high amount of Arab and Muslim students, particularly because of its proximity to a large Arab and Muslim population. This is a massive affront to our right to free speech and an attack on all of our civil liberties. It is illegal, it is unconscionable, and it has no place in American society.
In this country, my pro-Palestinian leftists are taking their fight to the wrong people still in this moment. You guys are really struggling with the fact that you hitched your wagon to the wrong horse, all right? Your efforts to make sure Kamala did not get elected was all in vain, because the person you allowed to take the presidency has no love for you at all. In fact, he wants to see Palestine. He wants to see Gaza erased. Just the other day, Republicans introduced legislation to try and have anybody put in prison for up to 20 years or possibly fined 6 or 7 figures if they decide to boycott Israel. The president right now has said time and time again that he will have the United States control the Gaza Strip in hopes that they can repurpose it and use it as prime real estate. He has said the Palestinians don't belong there. He will move them wherever they need to go, but they don't belong there. That was not the energy that you got from the Democratic Party. And I know y'all don't want to admit it. You guys want to live on this whole idea that both sides are the same. You know, everybody's funded by AIPAC, which we're aware of. And so both sides are the same. Both sides want to see the destruction happen. But I'm sorry, that's not true. The real Zionists, the real extremists, the real cruel warmongers are all sitting in the Republican Party right now. They're the ones having students snatched up off the street and just taken wherever they want to be taken or deported out of the country altogether. They're the ones having American citizens now. American citizens who supported your cause, they're being snatched up and questioned and put into compromising situations for standing up and defending you guys. That is the party that has made it very, very clear that they will do any and everything they can to make your life as difficult as possible. They don't have your back, and they've said it openly over and over and over again. But you all still keep taking your smoke to Democrats. You all still keep taking your smoke and your big protests to people like AOC, to Cory Booker, to all of these people who are not going out of their way to see you put in harm's way. Why won't you take that energy to Republicans? That is my question to you. I have not heard a good explanation for that yet. And I'm curious because I would love to have this conversation. Why won't you take your energy to the Republican Party? What are you afraid of? Be honest. Why do you feel so confident taking this smoke only to Democrats? I've only seen you guys still, during the Trump presidency, go after Democrats. You don't bring up the Palestinian stuff at Republican town halls. You don't bring up the pro-Palestinian stuff at Trump rallies. Why do you still feel that all your smoke needs to come at Democrats? I'm curious. I would like to know.
I think Islam hates us. There's something there that there's a tremendous hatred there. There's a tremendous hatred. We have to get to the bottom of it. There is an unbelievable hatred of us.
In Islam itself?
You're going to have to figure that out, okay? You'll get another Pulitzer, right? But you're going to have to figure that out. But there is a tremendous hatred, and we have to be very vigilant. We have to be very careful, and we can't allow people coming into this country who have this hatred of the United States.
I guess the question is...
And of people that are not Muslim.
I guess the question is there a war between the West and radical Islam, or is there a war between the West and Islam itself?
It's radical, but it's very hard to define. It's very hard to separate because you don't know who's who.
This moment is bigger than just regret. What we are seeing is a clear reminder political decisions have consequences, especially when they are made based on emotional promises instead of historical truth. Many Arab Americans thought Trump would be their savior, that would end the Gaza war, bring justice to Palestine, and stand up to global hypocrisy. But now, the reality has flipped. Not only is the war still raging, some of the very people who supported him are now facing deportation, silence, and betrayal. And now, some are looking to Black Americans, the very people whom long warned about these power systems. But here's a real question. Should Black communities carry everyone's burden when our own fight for justice and freedom is still ongoing? This isn't about turning our backs. It's about understanding alliances. It's about building unity based on truth, not convenience. because black people have always been on the front lines, not just for our people, but for all oppressed people globally. It must be mutual, it must be honest, and it must come from respect. Let me know what you think in the comments. Is this regret too little too late? Should black communities respond, or is this a moment for real reckoning and re-education across oppressed groups? Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a lovely time. I'll see you in the next video.